All right, thanks for joining, I guess, everybody. The two of you. Um, so I'm going to talk a little bit about storyboarding and one of my favorite. Hold on, let me get rid of this light. My favorite process is the storyboarding and the pre-pro and kind of getting everything together. Also, I'm very sorry I'm in portrait mode. For some reason, my camera won't flip. I think that is all to do with my phone. Kind of sucks. Um, but so yeah, so we're going to talk about. Okay, I will wait. We're just going to look at my pretty script right here. Um, and we'll get you a little bit more of the table, I think. How's that? Sorry, my desk is a mess. Um, but yeah, can everyone hear me okay? Is there audio? Um, Great, awesome. Well, I'm speaking like directly next to my phone, so yeah. Uh, Great. So, how's everyone doing out there right now? It's still kind of early today. I guess not really early. It's 9 o'clock in LA. I'm doing this because we did an awesome Kickstarter for Dude Bro, and now I have a Kickstarter for my own personal project called The First Curse. The Kickstarter is up right now. I will post a link to that in just a minute. In fact, I'll post a link to that right now from my personal page. Um, We are doing another one later. This is just going to be me talking about kind of storyboarding Dude Bro and the process of going through and working with John Salmon and Michael Rousselet. And oh man, I'm sorry, it's so cold. And like the months and months of prep that we had and the fantastic feeling that was. And when we went into it, we had a plan and we didn't have a lot of money, we didn't have a lot of time, which we're 5-second films, we're kind of used to that thing. So we we spent so many months prepping and talking every single day about every single shot we wanted to do. We took pictures of locations, we knew exactly where we were going to be, we knew exactly what the sets would look like. So we had a lot to work with and we had a lot to plan with, and that is one of my very favorite parts of making a movie. So later today we will be doing the live stream of Dude Bro from the 5-Second Films house with a bunch of the cast and crew. We're going to do a live commentary. We're going to drink some beers and have a good time, tell you some stories from the set. But for this, I just wanted to talk about, what goes into what my favorite part of making a movie is kind of the pre-pro, the storyboarding, the drawing aspect of the movie. So I'm sure if you've ever made a film or if you've seen someone on set, they have a giant binder. Mine is crazy thick. You got all these colored pages. So we start with, oh, hey, what do I got here? I don't even know what those dates are. So, Dude Bro Party Massacre, the full script. We have our kill montage here. Different colored pages, if you're not in the film industry, means that there were rewrites on them. You can see all these little X's right here. So if there was a rewrite to a page, it changes color, so that way you can look at it and be like, oh, nothing changed on page 8, but then on page 9, we had an edit right here, leans out her window and sees Brent. That actually didn't wind up making it to the cut because we couldn't find a window, so, and then you go in, and different colored pages means it's had more than one revision, 2 revisions, 3 revisions, 10 revisions. You kind of start going into that. So, yeah, my script for Dude Bro, it's pretty lengthy at this point because I think we're just trying to get every single joke we possibly could on paper. Not all the jokes made it that were on paper, and a lot of jokes that weren't on paper that just came out of our actors' mouths kind of made it. Yeah. So let's kind of flip ahead in this big-ass production binder. And I haven't looked at this thing in a few years, so I'm sorry if there's maybe some stuff that we shouldn't see. So see, I got my notes right down here. I'm going to lower you guys down so you can see a little bit better. There we go. You can see this a little better now, right? So when I'm going through script and trying to think about the shots, think about how we're going to put this movie together, I like to go through and just kind of write shots that I think I might need. So like this is a reversal of Brian Ferenzi or BF. I'm not sure who BF is. Wide Panic. We just have a bunch of weird insert shots. So let's skip ahead. I think in here. So this is basically our shot list breakdown. You can see, so our pool party scene, if you've seen Dude Bro, we have a close-up on red Solo cups coming into frame. We go slow-mo. You mark that in there so the camera guys know, hey, we're going to go slow motion on this. I need to have the camera set. Also slow-mo, Vaseline vignette. I don't think we used Vaseline because we knew we were going VHS, but it's that glory kind of Vaseline feeling. Brock and Samsy pan to the other bros, wide of the bros, close-up of Brock smiling. So basically that's the 4, 5, I think there might have been 1 or 2 more shots, just kind of inserts, maybe like Skylar jumping into the pool. But yeah, so bam, it's just pages of pages. This is super helpful for your production team to have these. I know some people don't like doing them, but yeah, I mean, I feel like they just help so much that you kind of have to. So kind of keep going through here. Here's just like a little rough drawing I did of our porch scene where we meet Derek and ZQ for the first time, also Nedry. I kind of have all these little characters down here, as well as little mock cameras. Here's our sidewalk, our walkway, the house that they were working out on. So you have like ZQ and Derek doing some curls over here. I think on the day we moved them over there, whatever. But I just find it so incredibly helpful to look at this, and then when you're on set, no one's asking you, hey, where do you want the camera? And you just don't know. That's like the worst thing I think a director could say. So I knew exactly where I wanted the camera. Yes, things change, things move, scenes grow. We added shots, we took shots away. But for the most part, I like to overplan and overshoot, which I think anyone will agree with. We have some more, just kind of little scenes broken down, some more scenes broken down, all our shot lists. So sometimes, I don't know how it is on big Spielberg-style feature films, but on films like this, you have to do 10, 15 shots in a single day. And that doesn't seem like a lot when you're just, with 5-second films, we would do, sometimes 6 or 7 5-second films in a single day. That might have been 50 shots because we're madmen and didn't really, the quality was important to us, but the content was a little bit more important. On a big feature film, the quality and the content are important. So doing this many shots for a single scene is a lot. Like it truly is. Like I know some big feature films, they'll do 1 to 4 shots in a single day. Hey, thank you very much. I love making this movie. I also love watching the movie still. But yeah, so look, so I think we have, what is this, 3, and then it kind of bleeds into this scene. This scene has like 20 shots in it. Like that's a lot to shoot, to move the camera, to relight, to move lights, to kind of adjust things, to have your actors standing around, so you have to move quickly, especially on a low budget film. So we decided that we were going to over plan. We were going to over shot list. We were going to over storyboard. I do something called top downs. I'll show you guys those in a little bit. But yeah, so moving on, we have more shots. So this is what I like to call a top down. I learned this in film school. I still use it all the time. Where you have, so I think this is where one of our characters, Sizzler, gets killed in a small tiny bathroom. We shot this bathroom in John Worley and John Salmon's bathroom. John Salmon was Nedry, also the DP and my co-director and one of the writers, because we wear a lot of freaking hats on this damn film. So you see I got Motherface 1, Motherface 2, her 2 positions for this scene. We got Samsy 1, Samsy 2. He walks over here. all of our shots right here are corresponded with the letter and the number that they would be with these little tiny camera moves. So we had B1, B2, but this was a dolly that we did. So I kind of connected the lines and made a little dolly track. And just tried to show in this tiny bathroom, so we're not sitting there thinking, oh, hey, what coverage do we need for this scene? Well, we have a full list of everything that we need for this scene. So, and then I can visually see kind of the scene playing out in my head when I look at this top down. And I know, all right, my actors need to move from here to here. I need to get them from here to here. What camera am I going to use to cover them? Well, we're going to do this little dolly track. We're going to go from B1, and it's going to kind of swing over the toilet, and it's going to go to B2. He notices the little rabbit. We have the rabbit shot right here. That shot was done after we wrapped our principal actors, because movies aren't shot in order, of course. Yeah, so I love doing top downs. And then, so we're going to keep moving through all of our shot lists. All right, so this brings us to kind of our production breakdown. We have our list of cast members, kind of not in order of importance, but mostly in order of screen time. And also, come on, let's face it, Alec Owen, most important person on set. So everyone gets a number, everyone corresponds with a number. If you've never been on a film set, we get these things called call sheets. Call sheets basically say what we're doing that day, the shots, the scenes, and what actors. Usually it has their number associated to it. So this, I think, is every single cast member kind of broken down. So I guess we had 53 cast members, 53 speaking roles at least. So they're all represented here with a number. You know, Sunbathing Man 1 and 2 are 27 and 28. So on our call sheet, it'll say we need Brent, we need 01, and we need 27, and we need 28. And I'll know by looking at this that, oh, okay, I need Brent and Sunbathing Man 1 and 2. And then the next thing you do is you kind of get a page like this. This page breaks down, so this was our day 2. We were at, well, I shouldn't show you that address. I guess it doesn't matter anymore because that house is getting torn down. So this is our lake house foyer. We shot a lot of this in the old 5 Second Films house, which sadly is being demolished. So no one's there anymore. It's kind of condemned. We literally tore that place apart. So yeah, you get this. A yellow scene means exterior daytime. White scene means exterior or interior daytime. This is all exterior daytime. And it kind of just breaks it down super simple like this. So you can look at it and be like, all right, we're gonna shoot Ripstick climbs the ladder at the lake house. Which Ripstick, played by the glorious Andrew WK, love that man. Yeah, it's scene 67.1. It's 0.1 because there's also going to be scenes shot at our actual lake house with this character. And then we also shot scenes later down the week with that character. So it kind of gets broken down into little segments. You have here that this scene takes up 1/8 of a page. You know, that for some reason scripts are broken down into eighths, even if it's 4/8. No one does half. I don't know why. I think it's kind of stupid, but whatever. It's just tradition. And yeah, so that's how a script kind of looks from, I would almost say how a script looks from a producer's standpoint. This is kind of what a line producer or and a first AD will kind of go through together. First AD is a first assistant director. They're kind of in charge of keeping things on time and in order and kind of translating the stupid crap that Rousselet, John Salmon, and I would talk about, and he would make it kind of a reality so that we could actually film this beast of a film. And God bless Glenn Miller, our first AD, because he had worked on several low-budget films and has directed several himself and knows the struggle. So we have some more of this. Every single day is broken down into a clear cut. So you can see here, these are all blue. So this means it's all nighttime. This was a fun day. We were in Big Bear. We were doing all of our exterior wood stuff this night. So let's see. Brent becomes. Oh, so this is great. I love this. This is the last scene with Brotherface. So it's just kind of broken up. So we shot Nedry. We shot him first in the morning, in the evening, or as soon as the sun went down, because Nedry is our cinematographer. So we needed him to just be kind of done with his scene. So we shot him out first. Ghost Bros merge with Brent. Brent becomes Brotherface. Man, this is such a great scene. And then Motherface is wrong. So we shot out our. No scenes are ever shot in order in a film. I mean, it's rare that a film would ever be shot in order. I know there are cases where films are shot in order, like Liar Liar, I believe, was shot in order, and that was on behest of Jim Carrey, who said it was important to his character. And you know what? At that point in his career, he could do whatever the hell he wants. I mean, I guess he could still do whatever the hell he wants. He's doing Sonic now, which I guess is what he wants. So more stuff. More of these. So let's get to the fun stuff. All right, here's the fun stuff. This is, to me, my favorite part of filmmaking, is the storyboarding. So I like to over-storyboard a little bit. Let's move you over a minute here so you can kind of see. Any filmmakers watching? Anyone who does storyboarding as well? Anyone who likes to overplan as much as I do? Take a little bit of water here while you kind of check out these cool drawings that I did for this. Is the Officer Sminkle. This is the Officer Sminkle kind of laying on the sacrificial tomb, and Candace Butterker kind of walks up and reveals it's her, and she frees him. I think that goes on to that page, yeah. So, we start with this close-up of Officer Sminkle. He's asleep. His eyes widen. Of course, he slept. Brian added the little joke that he sleeps with his eyes open, which on the day was hilarious. So we kind of kept that going. I like to do little arrows, kind of demonstrating that the scene will pull out into. So we got a continuous shot. We jib up and spin. Drew this little spin motion right here. We couldn't afford a jib that spins like that. So you know what? We did what we could with what we had, and I think it turned out great. But you guys tell me. I wish we could have gotten a proper techno crane and done this, but we were making a low-budget horror film, and we didn't have any budget. Hey everyone, welcome. Thank you for joining. There's a couple of you guys watching. So if you're just joining, I'm talking about the storyboarding process of Dubro. I like to storyboard everything. We have our Candace, he looks over to Candace, and if you were to go back and look at the movie, I'm fairly certain that this is almost 100% accurate to the cut as well. Because when you have a lot of planning and a lot of prepping, you kind of can just visualize where the movie's going and how you're going to get there. And like I said, things change, you need to adapt, but if you can adapt off of a plan, then all the better. So we have this, and then for little insert shots, I don't want to say waste spaces, but I'll throw these all on one little thing. So we have like a close-up of his hand struggling as she's kind of climbing on top of him, her hand on his chest, his foot doing a little wiggle, which I loved. And then Brian's like, ooh. And of course, Brian, being the brilliant man that he is, in this scene, we see his virginity be taken from him and literally kind of manifest itself as a little specter, which was not in the script at all. Brian just kind of threw that in the edit, and things change in the edit, and Brian is a brilliant editor. So Brian's a brilliant editor, and he threw in so many little editing jokes that we didn't even write and didn't even think about. But because he's such a funny fucking person, it was pretty simple for him. I don't know if it was simple for him. I know he struggled huge deal on the editing process. I think he was editing on a MacBook Pro. 4K footage and a full feature. So at certain points, he was putting his laptop on a ice pack and having fans pointing at it so it wouldn't crash. Um, no, all the scenes are not comprised to 5 seconds. We did try and keep some of our kill montages to 5 seconds, but you know what? At a certain point, we had to drop the 5 second film shtick and make a proper film. That's not to say that our little commercial cutscenes are kind of throwbacks to the 5 second films. I believe the orange juice commercial and Pizza Goblin are 5 seconds. But that was less important to us than just making it a funny scene. Um, I don't know if a film with 5 second scenes would be very good at all. It would probably be very hard to watch. I've actually watched all 5 years of 5 second films in one sitting, and it was quite maddening. It was probably the only time where I thought, man, I watch far too much television and I am fried. Um, so if you haven't watched all 5 years of 5 second films in one sitting and you want to get fried, I feel like that's a great way. Um, so here at a certain point, I kind of skipped, we were kind of getting down to the wire. So right here, I'm kind of doing some more accurate to the character drawings, but at a certain point, I kind of skipped past that and needed to just kind of start pumping out scripts quickly. So what I did was just kind of start drawing basic human forms and assigning them a color. So Brock was blue, Brent was yellow, and Motherface was pink. I'm sorry, Olivia. I know that's a little sexist to make her pink, but you know what? I only had so many colors of highlighters. So that's what I had to work with, right? Um, so yeah, I would do these kind of little rough breakdowns, and then this way we could just look at, like, we needed to do this shot of, so here's the scene. Like, she grabs him by the neck, he starts whistling over her shoulder. We see Ghost Brock appear. We get a close-up of Ghost Brock. He says his line, use her inertia against her, which has been kind of a little joke throughout the entire film. And then I believe we cut back to this close-up in the edit, and it cuts to this scene right here, where he grabs her hips, and Olivia just basically was kind of squatting on an apple box, and she just stood herself up, and it looks like he's picking her up. She whacked herself in the head. I think we put a piece of foam just right on the other side of the tree where you couldn't see, and she whacked her head real nice on there. And then in this, we have our two shot of Brent and Ghost Brock, and they kind of confront each other. They have their little back and forth. Oh, wow, I forgot about this, man. So they had their little back and forth, I'll always be with you. You just need to let your bros in. They have a little tender conversation. This was a joke that we ditched almost on the day of filming. They were supposed to have I think it's Gemini. I think that's the twin. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that's the twin zodiac sign. There were supposed to be close-ups throughout the film that Brent only had half of a Gemini locket, and then his brother had the other half. And when they meet up together, Brent's necklace becomes whole because, he's got his brother and he trusts them. So we have all our dude bros here, but so this is kind of what I like to do. We have our close-ups of our brother face's shirts ripping as he's transforming it. All the ghost bros are coming into him and he's transforming into this giant Hulk. Now, when we were filming this, it was probably about 20 degrees in Big Bear. It was about to snow, absolutely freezing. So instead of having, and we had so many fantastic directors, myself, Michael Russo, and John Salmon, and we trust each other so much that while John Salmon and Michael Russo were filming this little sequence right here, I went off and shot these close-ups on my own with our actor Brandon White, who plays Brotherface, and I lit them myself. We had a second camera. We just basically had like me and one other person helping and just kind of ripped these things on him. And we did that a bunch on this, where we would kind of separate and start, and just like be like, we don't have enough time to film all this. Well, I'll go off and do these shots on my own. You go off and do some shots on your own. and we trusted each other. We knew the shots that we needed, and it worked. It worked out very well, especially for a movie as insane as this. Um, but yeah, this is one of my favorite scenes, and I just love the joke that the big fight scene that we're leading up to, that he's got his confidence back, just ends in this like brutal beatdown. In fact, it kind of gets some shock in the theater when you watch it. Um, and I don't mean, we don't mean it to be violence towards women in any way. But man, is it funny when he just jumps on her chest to me. I hate to say that, but man, is that funny. Um, so yeah, we have these scenes. We have our skateboarding scene. Once again, I kind of went back to doing these simple um, drawings where I would just assign Brent is now orange. We have our sunbathing bros, they're pink. Um, I think on the day we actually came up with the idea, he was just supposed to skateboard past them. I think on the day, one of us thought it'd be funnier if he ollied over them, and we did that fun shot of the skateboard kind of passing over, which was, I think we just duct taped Alex's shoes to the skateboard. There was no one in those shoes, and I think it was me and Rousselet just passing the skateboard over the camera like that, over these two guys' heads. Um, and you do stupid shit like that on films where you just have to like duct tape something, or I guess we use gaff tape. We just have to tape something real quick and hold the skateboard. Um, yeah, so we have that. Oh, here I go. I guess this is kind of back when we had some time. And I showed you guys this top down earlier. This is our pledge being killed. So we have our tilt up. It says pledge. We didn't know who it was going to be, so I just kind of wrote pledge on a shirt. I think it actually says that in the movie too. And I think that just came from the storyboarding that I did. But yeah, you see, the real fun stuff. I really liked adding red to our gore scenes. So yeah, we have our shot of Motherface feeding him his own stomach. This stomach Rousselet and I made. Rousselet is brilliant when it comes to this kind of stuff. We weren't happy with the stomach that we had, so we basically wrapped one of those kind of natural looking sponges, covered it in blood, wrapped it in cellophane, and then that's our freaking our stomach for the film. So yeah, if any of you out there make movies, you know that you do weird things on the fly, and that's one of the most fun parts of making a film. Yeah, so this Rousselet and I have talked ad nauseum about this scene. It's one of the scenes that's still very fresh in my mind, mostly because, well, we used real pig intestines. It was cheaper to use real pig intestines than it was to use silicone ones. So we went to a butcher. Our makeup artist literally took safety pins and safety pinned these raw pig intestines together and made a nice 7 foot long pig intestine. Yes, come. Um, and since we only had the one length and we needed to do a few shots of it landing in the toilet and getting flushed down, we had to hold one end of the pig intestine and let it get flushed down. I'm almost gonna start gagging thinking about it because we were in this tiny little bathroom in the middle of summer. It was so hot, and the pig intestine smelled so bad that we had to hold on to the pig intestines after they got flushed and then pull them out of the toilet, and then use them again. Thank God Olivia Taylor Dudley, who played Motherface and is one of the original 5 Second Film members. Thank God she is just so freaking cool. She went with it. We told her right before filming that they were real. She was a little upset about it, but she did it, man. She freaking reached her hand in there and grabbed a whole handful of pig intestines. So yeah, here we go. Keep going a little bit more. One of my favorite scenes to draw was anything with Samantha because I loved drawing her, curly 80s hair. I always kind of mark my dolly moves with a nice 3D arrow that says dolly PO, it's a POV. Oh, I wrote a little note. Feel free to keep the head loose on the dolly because I wanted it to kind of have that dolly POV. Um, but yeah, so this is Samantha looking around. She kind of comes around the corner. I drew our Brent as this sexy looking greaser guy. I don't know why. For some reason, I really like the idea of Alec having that kind of curly haired, you know, duck haircut. We didn't end up going with that because it's not very 80s. Um, One of my favorite shots of the film. If you have not seen the film, this may be a little bit of a spoiler, and I'm very sorry. You might want to cover your ears. Um, we have the scene where he's going down to see the last Delta Bi. Um, and boom, we have her getting impaled. We got this nice close up of the last Delta Bi on the end of that stick. Her reaction. And then I think I might have gotten a little lazy right here and didn't draw the shot of her head being split open. I regret that because right now it would be very cool to show you, but I think I got a little lazy. I'm sorry, guys. Um, we got an effect shot right here, blood splattering onto the wall. Yes, it is called a pompadour. That's right. I'm sorry, I did not know that. I just called it the greaser haircut. Um, Um, I refer to the storyboards all the time when doing this, Dawn. The whole time we were on set, I had this giant freaking book in my hands, and anytime there was a question, we would just be like, the camera goes here. This is the shot we need. And we added shots, we changed things around, but for the most part, I try to stick to these because I'm a visual person, and then I can I basically laid out all of the storyboards on a wall, and it's like you can see the movie there. And directors like I know Mad Max Fury Road was written in storyboards. There was no script until Tom Hardy basically was like, I need a script. So they had to go in and write a script for him. But the entire film, I think, was just written in storyboard form. And obviously, we didn't do that. We used our script as the basis for the storyboards, but things changed, things grow. But for the most part, I kind of think if you go back and look at the movie, it's edited almost exactly to the shots of the storyboards, um, which I think is really fun. Oh, hey, I did draw it. I think I just drew it later. One of my favorite little drawings. Um, yeah, and you can see we nixed this one. We were just like, we don't need a wide of it. This is where we go out. This is the last scene of this shot. Yeah. Oh, so here we go. Michael Rousselet actually did these storyboards. It's kind of awesome working with another director who is very talented artist like Michael Rousselet. He is an incredibly gifted artist. If you haven't checked out his paintings, they're on his Facebook. I highly recommend it. He did this scene. This is his death. This was his baby. He loved it. I believe he wrote this death as well, because the writing process of Dubrow was kind of scattered and a lot of fun. And I can talk about that a little bit later. But so yes, Rousselet drew this, and this is his keg scene. He hugs the keg, gets the tap to the head. And apparently he didn't draw the rest, or I just don't have that. I'm sorry, things get lost. Maybe he has those because he really loved the drawings. And I was able to kind of steal these away from him. But yeah, I kind of drew our Derek character as a little bit more of a total drama island, who I'm a big fan of total drama. So here's our Derek character and the Motherface death. I did my little dolly shots and zooms and all that stuff. All my inserts kind of always go into one little box, and my main actor shots go into another one. I just don't feel like wasting four little boxes on a picture of a chainsaw. There's no point. Yeah, so basically I storyboard everything, especially the action scenes. I mean, I'm not going to just storyboard the bros sitting on the couch talking about what to do about Motherface. We'll shot list that. I'll do a top down, but I don't feel like there's a need to do any storyboarding for a simple scene like that when it's just kind of close-ups over the shoulders. and that kind of stuff. But when there's effects and there's action and there's props and there's makeup, I think it's super important to any filmmaker to storyboard those scenes out. I worked on a film, I'm not going to say the name of it, where the director didn't shot list, he didn't storyboard, he didn't do anything. We would show up on the day of set and they would talk about what are we going to do. And there were certain times where we didn't get a shot off for 6 hours because he simply didn't know what he wanted to do. And that, in my eyes, is unacceptable. If you're wasting half of your day discussing what you need to do, that's crazy. Because myself as a crew member, I was just a crew member on it. I'm sitting around and you're paying me for those 6 hours while you're trying to figure this out. I think it's your responsibility as a director and as the head of that team to have a plan. Even if things change and you can throw the storyboard out the door, you can throw the shot list out the door, as long as you come with a plan. That is so important and so viable. It's like going into business and not having a plan. You can't do that. You can't be like, oh, I'm gonna open up a coffee shop. I got a coffee maker. I don't have any coffee grounds though. Shit. All right. Well, I'm open. I need to go buy coffee grounds while people are waiting in line for your coffee. That's unacceptable. No one will come back. And you know what? The movie wasn't great. We had to cut shots because we only had 10 days to shoot it. I'm not talking about Dubro. I'm talking about the one with no plan. Um, we had 10 days to shoot it, and they made a lot of sacrifices because a lot of scenes just had to be done in a single shot because the director didn't have a plan. Even if we didn't have a plan for it, like pre-prod, Rousselet, John Salmon, and myself, every day after shooting, would talk in great length about what we're doing the next day. And instead of spending 6 hours while on set, we spent 6 hours after we wrapped, working a full 12-hour day already. So it's your responsibility as the head of that set to carry the set, to be the shining beacon of example, and to know what you want, when you want it, how you want it done. The worst thing a director can say on set, I think, is, I don't know. Someone asks you a yes or no question and you say, I don't know. Man, that's not good. That is not a good sign. And the crew feels that. And I feel like when we were working with our crew, we worked with mostly people that we had known for a long time, but a bunch of people were just kind of friends of friends that kind of came on as grips. Dawn, you asked, was there a story plan, but were there no shots planned? I'm not sure what you mean by that. These were, you're talking about the movie I worked on, I think. Yes. So there was a script. I read the script before joining. I really liked it. There was a bunch of actors that were involved with it that I really, really wanted to work with, so I was 100% down on it. And then to show up on set that first day and the director didn't know what he wanted. Should have been my first sign that things were going to go bad, but things just slowly got worse from there. So yes, plan your shots. If you're going to be a filmmaker, it's your responsibility as the head of the set to sacrifice sleep, to sacrifice your time, your personal life, and just to get this done, to get this part of it done. So when you show up on set, you're not wasting anybody else's time. And I think it helps editors too. Brian Frenzy had all these shots. We had someone keeping track of, what the roll number was on the camera, what shot that was, and where it corresponded to with the storyboards, and where it corresponded to with our shot list. And then that way Brian can look at it when he gets the hard drive full of footage. And instead of having to click through every single one and watch every single shot, he would know that, clip 480 is actually B1 of scene 23. Okay, where's that? I need to plug that in. And it makes the editor's life a little bit easier too. So, oh man, more shot listing. Man, there's just so much shot listing in here. More pages. Let's see, where else are we? All right, so we have our first scene here with Brent. Oh, that's, yeah, it's this. Let's see, where are we? So yeah, here's our Officer Sminkle. I think this might have been the first stuff we did because we had to shoot. Sorry, Metalhood, you do not like live streams. We are going to be, Brian just uploaded a bunch of new 5-second films. If you want to check those out, they're on our YouTube page. Because we hit a certain stretch goal with my Kickstarter, which is ending in 24 hours. We'll be doing another 5-second films. They'll be coming out very soon. So I'm sorry you don't like these live streams. It is really just me kind of dancing for money at this point, I'm sorry to say. I will dance for money because I need to make this next movie, which I'm going to post a link to the Kickstarter right now. That's me. I'm Thomas Jacobson. If you would like to check out the Kickstarter, the new movie's up. It ends in 22 hours, I think. And I think we just broke 15,000, which is fantastic, which also means that every single person who donates will get the first issue of a digital download of the comic book that we're going to make, as well as the short film. So we're making a comic book and a short film, and now every single person who donates, no matter what level you donate at, you are going to get a download of that comic book. And trust me, it's going to be so much fun. It's a primordial horror film. There's no dialogue. I'm going to be storyboarding the whole short. I'll be doing that on my own personal channel, so don't worry, Metalhood, you will not have to watch it on 5-Second Films' channel, because this is my next project will be my next project. As much as I love 5-Second Films, I don't consider myself a funny person. I consider myself more horror-oriented, which is why I took so much time storyboarding out our, horror scenes, our scenes with gore, scenes with anything. So here's something that kind of got cut. In the writing process, you write big, and then you realize when you get on set that you can't do that. So I think we had a scene where Sminkle was going to pour lighter fluid all over Candace's desk and then light it on fire and then toss the match, and then he was going to get lit up with some big, only to show up to our set and they're like, no, you can't have open flames. I don't care if it's even just a match for a joke. You can't just throw that match into a bucket of water. You just can't do that. So yeah, so some things get cut because a scene, just like a location, just will throw a monkey into your wrench and you can't do it. So you have to work with that and you have to work around that. How much of a challenge was it to drop the dialogue? I'm assuming this person's talking, I'm sorry, pluripins. I'm going to pronounce that wrong, man. I'm sorry. It was quite the challenge. We wrote a full feature. So we wrote Dubro, and it is full of dialogue. It is just joke, 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 joke. It is full of dialogue, and that was a blast to write and to hone. So yes, this new one, we dropped the dialogue. It is a 90-page script. The short is 9 pages, but the full feature is 90 pages. And we dropped it, and it's almost 90-page script with no dialogue. It's all action. And lucky for me, I teamed up with James Ashby from Saturday Morning Breakfast Serial, who is a brilliant writer who went to theater school, who has written books and has written several other features. And I told him this idea, and I was like, dude, I don't want any dialogue. And his jaw dropped. So lucky for me, I didn't have to do too much typing on this because I'm a much better artist than I am a typer. And I'm not even that great of an artist, as you can see. But yeah, so I was working with him. Mostly it was me standing over his shoulder, critiquing his writing, but he did such a fantastic job dropping the dialogue and kind of trying to make the action lines sing a little bit more, and really try and put into those action lines facial expressions, and emotions. So basically, when you read the script, you'll still get, Fang's face cowers in fear. And, that I don't think you're supposed to really write like that in like a normal feature. You're kind of supposed to just let the director, I'm the director, so you let the director kind of interpret how the action's going and then what happens next, and he can kind of extrapolate what the actor's face should look like. But in this, we kind of felt we needed the audience to have some kind of idea. But to me, it was not hard dropping the dialogue because my favorite scenes of Dude Bro were the action scenes and the skateboarding montage and anything with Officer Sminkle, obviously. But yeah, so we have a bunch of this stuff. So here's one of my favorite shots of the whole movie. And when we told our lighting crew that we wanted to do a 180 where the camera's looking one way and then it completely spins the other way, which means that you can't have any stands, you can't have anything showing, there can't be any cables behind the camera, which if you were to, in most films, if you were to reverse the camera and look back, you would see 30 crew members sitting around on their phone, 20 or so lights, a table full of snacks and Skittles, and that kind of stuff. So we told them we're going to do a 180 turn. So we start out with our Patton Oswalt, our chief. I have this nice little arrow, start, medium, chief. And then we're going to pan, and he walks into his office. And then we end on our two-shot of Candace and Sminkle. And then our chief in the background as he explodes. But yeah, so I like to visualize my movements and my pans with arrows that kind of point the direction I need to go. Right here I wrote, we start on this happy blood orgy, I guess. I just wanted to make up a sign. We didn't know what it was going to say at the time of storyboarding this. And then you jib down, which is what this arrow says, and this is still the same shot. And we come down to, our officer here looking pissed off at these two. So yeah, when I'm storyboarding, I'll do this, and the new film will have a lot of movement in it. It will be, Dubrow was mimicking 80s films, so we watched a lot of 80s films, and we noticed that 80s slashers never really moved the camera all that much. If you watch, there'll be some pans, there's a lot of zooming, but for the most part, they kind of play static wides, and then they'll go in for some close-ups, and we definitely didn't want Dubrow to feel like a modern horror film. We wanted it to feel like something from the 80s, which to me, as a huge 80s slasher film, I think I've watched all of them in preparation for this movie. Michael Rousselet and John Sam and I watched about 100. We kind of came up with this language and this idea that we were going to mimic it as much as we could, but at times where we needed to do some more modern movements, we will. We're not going to sacrifice ideas and something good to just make, a regular film. If you watch a movie called The Love Witch, that movie did a fantastic job at capturing the camera movements and the life of, and how a movie would have been shot in the 70s, especially an exploitation film like that. So yeah, check out The Love Witch if you want to see a great example of exploitation 70s films that was made just a few years ago. Look at this. We have our... So when you storyboard and you write, you could just hand your production designer the script and he can look at it and be like, a person made of oranges. What is that? What does that mean? But when you show him a storyboard and you have a storyboard person of oranges, then they're just like, oh, okay, I get that. So it's helpful for everybody. It's helpful for the grips, for the camera team. It's helpful for production design because they know what they need to see. We handed these storyboards to our grips. They knew, okay, you guys are going to do an overhead, high, wide, Sminkle plus oranges. They can look at that and be like, okay, we need to have this setup ready. We need to have this setup ready to go. And they did. They had a ladder standing by. We have something called a hi-hat, which is just kind of like it's like a tripod mount, but it's just on a piece of wood. And you strap that to the top of a ladder with some ratchet straps. And bam, you put the camera up there and all of a sudden you're 12 feet up you're nice and safe and secure, and you can get a shot like this without having to use a jib or a techno crane, which we didn't have the money for. Now, I don't know who drew these, but these are fan-freaking-tastic. I love it. This is for a scene that got cut, but if you have the Dubro Blu-ray, I believe it's on there. It's our musical sequence. Yes, Dubro had a musical sequence at one point when Candace and Officer Sminkle crash into the rock and fly through the windshield. They don't just fly through the clouds and then land in the water. We had them flying over the city, holding hands. They sing a song about magical wonders and how they're kind of falling in love with each other. It's a lot of fun. It's a wacky moment, and I think the only reason it got cut is because it comes right before all of our favorite joke, which is Old Parchtown. If you haven't seen it, Old Parchtown is my personal favorite joke. It happens literally 2 or 3 minutes after this, and in the edit bay, this scene got a ton of laughs, and then we got to Old Parchtown, and it just didn't get as many. So we tried taking it out, and then showed it to some people, and then Old Parchtown now worked so much better because there wasn't something that kind of undercut its silliness. This scene was so silly that we had to cut it, and that sucks. And you find out when you're in an editing bay that you kind of sometimes have to kill the scenes that you love the most. We always say kill your babies, which is a horrible thing to say, and I'm sorry, but you kind of have to. If you love something but it's just not working, you have to cut it, and it can hurt because you worked really hard on it. A lot of people worked really hard on it. There's so many hands that have a part in filmmaking, but man, you have to just cut a scene sometimes. And so we cut this. It made it to the special features. So if you have the Blu-ray or the DVD, please check out the special features. It's on there. There's also a couple other deleted scenes that we loved, but you know what? They don't work in the flow of the film, so they had to go. So where else are we? We got... Oh, so here's another scene that didn't work. In here, Candace checks in with our... We thought in the script we needed Candace to check in with our chief character to just kind of get back to him and touch him with him, because in the script it felt like we didn't see him for a long time. So she has a little conversation with him. I think there's a demon that also kind of chimes in because he's, working for the underworld. But we shot this. I believe it's on the Blu-ray as well, but we shot this. Didn't make it into the scene because it couldn't. It slogged the scene down, and when you watch it, it doesn't feel like we're not with the chief because, one, it's not his story, so we don't have to be with the chief all the time, right? Like, coming to the end of my storyboards here, everybody, and we're just kind of on some of my fun moments. The original idea for the Sminkle's driving and he's like, oh, that man is slapping a little boy, and we cut to the dad kind of being aggressive with his son. The idea that it was going to be Halloween and the dad was dressed like a boxer and the son is dressed up like a punching bag, which is hilarious, but considering in the film we had no references to Halloween, we thought it might just be kind of weird if this boxer is just punching a punching bag with arms. So that didn't, that joke, we drew it out. It was written in the script. We drew it out, kind of looked at it, and we're like, man, no one is going to get this joke. So we changed it to just a drunk dad and his son. Sminkle saves him, gives him $100 and the Grapes of Wrath, which I think that is a Brian joke. I think he literally just went upstairs to the house, grabbed the Grapes of Wrath, or grabbed a book that looked like it could be the Grapes of Wrath, and started going for it. Everyone, my phone is about to die. Give me 30 seconds. I'm going to flip this page, take a look at this. Oh, hey, look at this nice little punching bag character I made. I'm going to grab my charger. Give me 30 seconds. I'm sorry. And then we'll get to our top downs. Does anybody have any questions? Is anybody out there trying to make a movie? Is anybody working on anything right now? Because making movies is fun. All right, I'm back. Oh, I'm sorry. You got me? All right, guys. Sorry about that. Yes, Alicia, it is very interesting. I think so, at least. All right, so here, when I was talking about top downs, this is what I like to do. I don't know many people who do this. I do know that first assistant directors love this kind of stuff because they love being able to see where the cameras are going, and then that way they don't have to ask me. So we have our Sminkle character right here, right? And we have Candace 1. She starts behind these bushes, and then she'll walk, do a little dot line for her. She walks to here. We have one camera that's capturing her from this side over Sminkle. We have our jib shot kind of drawn out right here. And we have our over the shoulder of her and him. And we have our wide shot as they're having their weird, awkward sex scene. I like to write down my insert shots down here. Just I want to make everything as clear to every person on set what we're doing. No one should be asking, what are we doing next? Everyone should know exactly what we're going to do next. So yeah, I do a lot of this for scenes where we're basically just kind of laying out our characters. Everyone has, we have indicators for, Sminkle is the circle with an S and Candace is the circle with a C. And then we have our, their movements. Candace starts here, she walks around and comes to the door. And then this mirror here. So I like to do this kind of crap all the time. I wish I had my oldest script because I also do something called lining where I'll actually I'll do a little bit later. But actually we might be ending this stream in just a couple minutes. I really appreciate everyone watching right now. It's fantastic. Once again, I'm doing this little song and dance right now because I have a Kickstarter live and it means a lot to me. And I want to make the best movie possible. And the more we have donated to us, the better the movie will be. I mean, the movie's going to be awesome, and I'm going to make it as good as I possibly can. But I would like to pay my crew. I would like to feed them well. I would like to not have to steal shots. I would like to pay, people for good locations. The Kickstarter ends in 23 hours. And I've posted a link up earlier. My name is Thomas Jacobson. It's up on the chat a little bit earlier. In fact, you know what? Let's just post it again. I am Casey Kundo. I am making a new short film based on a feature film that I have written. This is all me. I'm kind of monopolizing 5-second films as YouTube because, well, I'm not as popular as 5-second films, and I'm sorry, this will not be a 5-second films movie. A ton of the people involved with 5-second films are involved with this. They are my filmmaking family, and I will never make a movie without them. I have Mike James and Ben Geely, who are ZQ and Samzy in Dude Bro. They are my producers. Michael Rousselet is going to be involved. Kelsey Gunn will be involved. She won't be acting in it, but she'll be involved behind the scenes, which I'm so excited to work with her. And then everyone else on the crew has offered their support and their hands of anything I could do. So yes, I am making a new movie. It is a full straight horror, no comedy. It's about Neanderthals and it's set 40,000 years ago, which to my knowledge, there is no horror movie set at that time. The furthest back you go in horror, I think, there's some like medieval horror, and that's about it, really. No one goes further back than medieval times. Sorry, I haven't talked for an hour in a long time. Um, but I will be doing these as well for this film. I will be doing top downs when I have my sets designed and know what they're going to look like, to just be able to tell my actors, all right, dude, you're going to start here and you walk up there. And then that way, when we show up on sets and they get to see the finished set, um, they have some idea. Yes, things change, and maybe when we're there, I will want them to walk this way, or, you know, if there's a funny joke, or in Dude Bro, there was always like, what's a funny joke we can throw in kind of while they're moving, or whatever they're doing. And Brian is fantastic at that kind of stuff. But yeah, so we have our chief here. We show that he walks into here. This scene was a lot of fun because we did that 180 shot that I kind of showed you the storyboard for a little earlier. And it turns around and it looks this way. And then we had to hold that shot because in that shot, you can see the chief in the background through his little window. And Pat and Sminkle and Candace are talking. The chief is in the background through his little window. He picks up the phone and starts talking. And then he does this little, as Candace and Sminkle are having their nice tender moment, the chief in the background is exploding because he's failed his dark gods. So he explodes in a river of blood. And obviously we couldn't do that effect and the explosion and his performance all in one. So we had to lock the camera off as soon as we got a good take that we really loved. Lock the camera down, hold that shot. Patton acted like he was being lifted up. We put like some apple boxes, which are just kind of wooden boxes that people can have. He raised himself up on those. And then our effects artist, Tim Ciancio, who is a member of 5 Second Films, and plays the stoner bro in the very beginning, or plays the weed dealer in the opening kill montage. He did all of our post effects, which we tried to keep everything practical, and I think we did, but sometimes you need computers to amplify things, right? So we're shooting through this window, and this shot I think is 3 or 4 different shots. We did this 180. Candace and Sminkle talk. Chief is in the background. He's raising himself up. We cut, cleared Candace and Sminkle out, cleared the chief out. Rusula and I had a fire extinguisher full of blood underneath this window right here, where the chief would be. Prime the cannon to go off, and then explode blood onto the window. And then we do a clean shot of the window with nothing. And so I think it was 3 shots altogether. And then our effects artist, Tim, went in and seamlessly made Patton explode into that, burst of blood that hits the window. And I think he actually reversed a little bit of some parts and kind of some blood trickles up, which is really cool looking. And then we cut into our coverage, our over-the-shoulder shots of them, and never see that window again. But yeah, and I'm sorry, yes, we exploded Patton Oswalt's. We didn't want to, but Patton actually donated the amount of money to the Kickstarter where we had to put him in the film. We legally had to put him in the film because he donated to the point of having to do that. So I'm sorry we exploded Patton. He is fine. He's gone on to win Grammys since doing this movie. His life is pretty great. But yeah, so we got 2 more top downs. Here's just some little drawings. So when you're making a movie, you plan. Some things don't get seen. Like these are little drawings that I did for the big book that Patton opens up, like his big evil tome, basically his Necronomicon. So I did some of these drawings, and I handed these to our production designer and our art guys, and they went through and scanned these and then printed them out on kind of aged paper and then added them to the finished book. So when you look at the book, you might see this wing as he flips through a page. You barely can see it. Movies are stupid like that because you spend all this time drawing and making little jokes. And I think I looked up the Necronomicon language, or the H.P. Lovecraft language that's been created, and this is all jokes. I can't remember exactly what it says, but all of this is just jokes about the movie. This is all jokes. So there's jokes everywhere, and you know what? Spent a lot of time doing these drawings, and you can't even see them in the movie. And that happens a lot in filmmaking. You spend a lot of time thinking about something and obsessing over something, and it just doesn't ever get seen. Um, so yeah, that's my book. This is the whole thing. I would carry this around with me every single day on set. I would lose it constantly, but lucky for me, I'm around much more observant people than myself. Um, and we would kind of make this stupid movie work. And we did, and it came out, and I hope you've seen it, because if you haven't seen Dude Bro, I probably just spoiled a ton for you. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna be wrapping this up here pretty soon. Does anybody have any questions about making movies or storyboarding or um, really anything? Because man, this is like my favorite part of the movie. And as soon as this Kickstarter is done for my new film, I'm going to be jumping into the storyboarding and the pre-planning for it. I'm so excited. I have a couple drawings that I can show you guys of some stuff I've done. Let me grab those real quick. So it's not much. So this is a scene, it's very graphic, I'm sorry. We have a scene in the feature film where one of our Neanderthal characters gets his hand stuck between a rock and a hard place, and it basically just shatters and explodes and kind of cripples him. So I was feeling really inspired and I wanted to know kind of what that would look like. So I just kind of painted this up one day. And, now when we go to shoot the movie, I can kind of show this to my makeup effects artist and be like, this is what I want the exploded hand to look like. It needs to look mangled and like it will never heal. Yeah, Howie is right. Um, Here's just some rough sketches of some primitive men. I have a couple more, but I don't like showing them because they're not very good. Just trying to think of the hardest part about this movie is we don't know a lot about, fashion or what these people wore. I'm just gonna leave this one up because this is my favorite drawing. We don't know, and so my favorite part, the hardest part, but also a really fun part about making this new movie is trying to come up with lore that existed 40,000 years ago before we had anything written, before we had anything carved into stone, really. People just drew pictures of buffalo and kind of told some simple stories. And we know some facts. We know that Neanderthals had jewelry. We know that, they had some form of ceremony based on their burial rites that we've seen. I've done a lot of research into this, and we are going to try and make this movie very realistic. But while writing it, my motto is if you can't prove it didn't happen, then it's okay. So we have some characters that wear masks, and the oldest mask we know about is about 12,000 years old and is made of stone. Well, of course, the oldest mask we found is made of stone. Stone lasts forever. But what if they made masks out of leaves or out of wood? That's something that wouldn't last unless it fell into some mud and got petrified. But if they were just little one-off masks that these vicious humans, because humans are the enemy in this script, Neanderthals are going to be our good guys. That if these vicious humans used like leaves and grass and maybe some rawhide to kind of fashion a crude mask, what would that look like? What would that feel like? And is it believable that they would have that? So now the biggest task is just kind of thinking, okay, what would a Neanderthal wear? What would a human wear 40,000 years ago? And you know what? We don't 100% know. We know they had some jewelry. I'm gonna change my angle up a bit here. So here's just a rough idea of a mask I'm working on. This is from my ficus tree that I have. Um, I basically just kind of pinned this leaf to the mask, or to this styrofoam head, and let it dry. And it's drying really well. I'm going to hit it with some lacquer, but I figured, humans, I think it's like a human instinct that we would want to make ourselves look more terrifying to our prey, right? Um, So this is just kind of some stuff I'm working on. I will be doing a lot of the prop making in this because I love it and we're not shooting for 3 or 4 months and I kind of have the luxury to be able to take my time and make them. Far Cry probably so actually I played Far Cry Primal for a couple minutes right when we started writing the script and I started seeing a lot of stuff that I really loved. And then that made me want to not play it because I did not want to I did not want to rip them off at all because that game is awesome. So I think after we make the short, I'll probably just binge through that game because it looks freaking awesome. I love the idea of a video game, but I did not want to be influenced by it too much. Um, I've mostly just been reading books and periodicals about Neanderthals, watching every single documentary I can. Um, it kind of sucks because most of the documentaries that are out are 20 years old and none of those are relevant anymore. Everything has changed that we know about Neanderthals. So there's a lot of new books out right now that kind of explore them a little bit better. But so this, I'll, cut some holes for the eyes. I'm gonna lacquer this with a matte lacquer so that it's not so, it's just a dry leaf. There's not much that the hardest part about making movies is that you wear and you tear. So I'm gonna need to make a couple of these, I feel like. And if they don't match 100%, I'm okay with that because as I've seen on Dude Bro, sometimes you painstakingly spend some time on details, 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 and nobody notices. So I feel like if I were to make 3 or 4 of these masks, and even if the patterns were a little bit different, you know, if you're a good enough filmmaker, people won't be paying attention to the pattern of the mask. They'll be paying attention to the action on the scene and the story. So hopefully I'm a good enough filmmaker. We will see. Um, the Kickstarter has 23 hours, maybe 22 hours. We just cracked 15,000. But we're still a long ways to go from having the full amount of money to make this film. I'm going to have to pump in a lot of my own money. But the best part about this, that we hit 15,000, means that every single person who donates is going to get a digital download of the first issue of the First Curse comic book, which I'm so excited to have made. I can't wait to have a comic book made with my name as writer on it. I'll probably also do a cover or two for it because I like doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, so this is this. I got one more thing I could show. So here is a primordial knife, I feel like. This might be a little more modern, but we can't prove that they didn't have knives like this. We know that they used, I believe it's obsidian. They would crack obsidian and use them as scraping blades and to cut and tear flesh away. We know for a fact that that's been around for 100,000 years. Mankind, Homo sapiens and Neanderthals alike, have been using sharp rocks like this and this is actually fairly sharp. This is just a prop. Yeah, it's stupid sharp. And even this is a prop and it's still fairly sharp. We don't know that they tied it to an animal bone. We haven't found anything like that. But you know what? I kind of feel like we can get away with it for the simple fact that none of this binding here wouldn't have survived. And maybe they found animal bone and these rocks near each other. And I'm going to just put that together in my filmmaker brain as being a handle for a knife. So this blade gets used in our kind of final primitive ceremony, and we'll do a lot of cutting. Man, it's going to cut a lot of stuff. But yeah, so I bought this little prop on Amazon, I think, and then I went in and aged it myself. If you check out the First Curse Instagram, I think it's First Curse Short. There are some props of some wooden masks that I've made. But yeah, I really appreciate everyone listening to me rant about the past and hopefully the future. So yes, please check out the Kickstarter. I'll put a link again. Boom, link again. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's early morning. I'm gonna get some coffee and some breakfast. But thank you so much. And please tune in at 3:30 p.m. today. We are going to do another live stream. I'm sorry, I know some people hate live streams, but we are going to be doing Dude Bro. We're going to watch Dude Bro live with myself, Michael Russo, Kelsey Gunn, and a bunch of others doing commentary. But yeah. Yes, I do think that the prehistoric people would inflict a lot of violence. And I think violence is something that has been in human nature since day one. But I think that I'm not trying to make a torture porn movie here, right? I'm not trying to make an Eli Roth Hostel set 40,000 years ago. The violence in the film is very much story driven, is very much, I don't want to say appropriate to the time, but we're trying to fit the time. Like, it was hard to be alive back then. Had to have been a struggle. So we wanted to make the film almost not a struggle to watch, but we wanted to make it as violent as we imagined the time being. Because not only did you have other Homo sapiens and other hominids to worry about, you had animals, you had animals, you had the landscape, you had just the environment that you were in. Must have been so hard. So yeah, this is my next project. It has nothing to do with comedy. I'm very sorry for using the 5 Second Films YouTube page. I guess some people hate streaming. We're not going to do it too much anymore, but also Brian Frenzy, who played Officer Sminkle and is the creator of 5 Second Films, has a Kickstarter live right now as well for an animated project that is just bonkers. It is called Under the Haunted Moon. I'll actually find a link for that right now. Under the Haunted Moon Kickstarter. We'll post the link to that. You should check it out. Watch his video. Of course, it's an idea that only the brilliant mind of Brian Frenzy could think of. So boom, posting the link to Brian Frenzy's new Kickstarter. I would also check that out. He's such a brilliant person, and this will be an animated project that he's doing, and animation is so perfect for him because his ideas are so wacky and so far out that I want nothing more for him to just get an Adult Swim show and just be as wacky as Brian possibly can be. So thank you very much, guys. Check out the Kickstarter. Check out Brian's Kickstarter. And then today at 3:30 p.m. California time, 6:30 p.m. New York time, we're going to do a live stream of Dude Bro. You guys can watch it with us. If you haven't seen it, maybe not the best time to watch it because we're going to be talking over it and joking and telling you our experiences of making it. Yeah, well, actually, every single person involved with 5 Second Films is working on other projects. And I don't know why people haven't used this thing, but this format of live, but maybe we will more because this is so successful and it's so much fun hanging out with all of you. Yeah, so Brian has some post-Kickstarter stuff. Mike James is just killing it in the short film world. His short film Smileys is now on Amazon Prime. You can look that up. It's called Smileys. I was actually the cinematographer on it. Of course, John Worley is out there writing for TV. Olivia Taylor-Dudley is killing it on Sci-Fi Channel. Joey Scoma and John Salmon directed a short film called Patch of Desert that is making its rounds in the film festivals right now. It's a short horror. For some reason, after doing years and years of comedy, all of us wanted to go horror. I don't know what that is. I guess we all just maybe got a little burnt out on comedy. Or maybe we all realized that we're not funny and shouldn't have even tried. But I'm going to get out of here, guys. I need to get some breakfast in me, and I need to start prepping for this live stream at 3, which We'll be streaming the movie. There'll be a chat going on. Members of 5 Second Films that can't make it to the streaming will be on the chat answering questions while we joke around and drink beer. So please join us at 3. There's if you go on our Facebook, there's already posters. I think there's already an event scheduled on our Facebook. And yeah, pay attention. 5 Second Films isn't done. We're focusing on personal projects, but we will come together. Every time we get together as a group, all we do is joke about future 5 Second Films or future movies. It's still in the talks. We're still talking about it. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I hope you have a great day, and I hope to see you in a couple hours on the live stream.